Hi, this is Donna. Welcome to DD Paper Crafts, and in today's video we're going to be making this pop-up gift card holder. This was taken from a card which I saw on Pinterest, which directed me to the YouTube channel, and it's actually a project by Shrishti Patil. I've adapted hers slightly just because she does hers in centimetres and I work in inches, and I've created this to fit a 5" by 7" card base. So before we get into all of the parts, because it's easier to say now rather than to edit it into the video later, she uses, and I've used, 180 GSM cardstock for the mechanism elements. I tried it with a 250 and it didn't work. I don't have 200 GSM. It may work with that, but I've gone with 180, which is what she used and which is what I had in my stash. What I would say is with all the elements, you need to make sure that everything sits parallel. So if you've got any score lines where you're folding things in half or you're creating the diagonals, just take the time to make sure that the lines are sitting and the sections are parallel. Do be aware that the 180 GSM can't take too much burnishing, though. It can have a tendency to start tearing at the score lines. And the other thing I would say is just to be aware of when you come to the section where you're sticking down this inside triangle here, it's important that you've cut away any of the score line elements. It's also important that you give this triangular section time to dry. You don't use too much glue, otherwise you end up with seepage and then it will tear at this DSP that you've got on the inside. So it is important that you get all of your score lines lined up and you get each of these inside mechanism pieces lined up square and parallel when you stick them down. So it is worth taking your time with the mechanism. And the other thing I would point out, I do mention it in the video, but when you add these panels here, it's important that you add them so that when this front panel, this additional side panel comes down, it doesn't hit this diagonal here. If anything, these pieces on mine are actually a little bit too close. I would have preferred to adhere them slightly lower down. Having said that, it is actually a relatively simple mechanism to put together. So I hope I haven't put you off too much, but I felt it was important to tell you the things that I've learned along the way. So let's crack on and let's get started. For the base of the project, I'm using a 5 by 7" card blank. This is actually a shop bought one. The words of advice I would give in relation to shop bought card blanks is A, just double check that they are the size that they say on the packet. Sometimes a 5 by 7 might be slightly under 5 and it might be slightly under 7. And the same with any card blank you buy from the shop, really. And the other thing that I always do is I just line up the corners of the card and I re-burnish or refold the card, because often I find that it's slightly skew on the edges, as this one was before I burnished it. At least I know that I'm starting with my card in its right shape rather than slightly skew with. Before you start any of the mechanism for the card, the first thing you want to do is add your decorative paper to the inside front cover here, because there is going to be an element of mechanism which is going to adhere over here. So select your decorative paper, cut that to your chosen mat size and stick that down first. So I've added my decorative paper to my back of my inside, and this is from the Craft Consortium Sandy Paws collection. We're now going to create the mechanism, and you'll need 2 pieces of cardstock, which is 2 inches by 5 inches. And each of the mechanism sizes I've given you are to suit this particular card size that I'm making. Along the 2-inch side, we're going to score at 1 inch. Rotate the strip, and along the 5-inch side, we want to score at 2 inches. Rotate the cardstock, so your pencil mark is now at the bottom, and we're going to make a pencil mark at 3 inches, so our pencil marks are opposite each other. Now you can either draw a pencil line and then score, or go straight in with your stylus and ruler, but we're going to score a line from the pencil mark down to the opposite diagonal corner. Do the same with the other pencil mark, and you'll end up with a piece which looks like this. Just fold over along all of the score lines. Take your scissors, we want to cut along one diagonal up to the centre score line and along the centre score line. So we're ending up with a piece which looks like this. So here's our 2 pieces, and you want to fold them so that they are a mirror image of each other. So if you need to, depending on which side you've cut away, you may just need to refold your piece, but this is what we want to end up with. Take your card base, and you want your pieces so that the fold is going to head into the middle of the card, and the cut edge or the open edge is going to be on the outer side of the card, and your strip on the top is going to be the full strip. So if you lay your mechanism pieces either side of the card like this, this will make sure that they get stuck on the right side. I'm going to use my quick grab glue. We're going to add glue to this side panel here that's got the top cut away. I'm going to lay this down in my card right up to the edge, and I want the point where the 2 diagonals meet to be in line with the fold of my card. So just take some time to get that in the right place. So while that's drying, I'm going to do the same on this side. So again, I'm adding glue to the side with the top cut away. Lay that down, line up my join of my 2 diagonals like so. So you can see how that looks. Now we want to add glue to the top triangle, this section here only. We want to fold that under. It's going to glue to the inside front cover. So we're going to tuck that under like that, and that is going to glue down. So our piece is glued under here to the inside front cover. Do the same on this side. So I'm adding glue to the top triangle, tucking it under and adhering it underneath to the inside front cover. So that is adhered here, and this side is adhered here. Now you want to push the 2 sides in like this and fold down the front of the card. So you're creating 2 triangles at the top. Fold down the front of the card. Just burnish that down, then push that to one side and don't touch that until you're sure that it's absolutely dry. For the mechanism strips, you'll need 2 pieces which are 5 inches by 1 inch, and you're going to score along the 5-inch side at 1 inches and 4 inches. And you'll also need 2 pieces which are 3 inches by 1 inch. And to add some strength to the mechanism, you're going to add the 3-inch strip in between the score lines on the longer strip. And for the final two pieces, I've got two pieces of cardstock which are 3.5 by 7, and along the 7-inch side we're going to score at 4 inches, and do that on both pieces. Now you can decide whether you want to add the decorative paper to these now or after they've stuck down. That's entirely your choice. Okay, so we can now start putting the card together. Our mechanism is dry. One thing I would say is make sure you only add the glue to the triangle, because I'm not sure if you can see, this is dried here and I've obviously had glue on the outside and it's created a slight pull in the paper. So just only put glue where you need it. Take your mechanism piece. You're going to add glue to the front of this tab. Fold your side tab over and we're going to add our mechanism piece roughly halfway down, like so. So that's adhered. Make sure it's in square. Then we want to do the same on the other side, and I'm just going to use the ruler to try and get these lined up. It's not the end of the world if they're not. And we're going to add a second mechanism onto this side, and just make sure you let those dry thoroughly. Take your additional card pieces, and what we're going to do is we're going to add glue onto this section here, starting from where our score mark ends, down the whole of this section, and then we're going to add this section on, like so. So I'm going to start adding my glue. Again, I'm going to try and not get my glue anywhere that it doesn't need to be. Take my side panel piece, and with the smallest side on the left hand end, I'm going to lay this, and the key is to make sure that this left hand edge of your strip does not protrude over the end of the mechanism, because if it's too far across, what will happen is the mechanism closes, this end of your strip here is going to catch and it'll end up curling up. So if I show you this one glued down, it's up against but not over the mechanism strip. Do the same on this side, so I'm adding my glue, take my piece, line up the right hand edge, make sure this sits squarely and within the mechanism, so I'm not going over, like so. Once you've put those in place, just fold the two pieces in. They will overlap on the front, and just let them dry with the card flat. You need this to fully dry before we move on to the next stage. Once you're satisfied that your pieces are dry, fold your inside panel over like so. Fold up the outer tab, add glue to the outer tab, and fold back your additional panel, and do the same on both sides. Once you've glued your two ends on, just pop your two side panels in. You'll find that the front should come down naturally, and then when you open the front up, your two panels should pop out like so. So you can now go ahead with your decoration. If you want to decorate these triangular elements here, I've cut a piece of paper which is 1 3/8 square, and I've literally just angled it onto the triangle and then marked with a pen where I want my borders to be. Nothing any more scientific than that. And I did the same for these small triangles here. So I'm going to go ahead with my decoration. I've now added the decorative paper to the inside, and I've added my little notches here for my gift card. This is actually a die which comes in this Simply Made Crafts gift card box and exploding presents die set, and you actually get a die which you can lay on, which will cut the notches. So if we lift the sides up, you can see that the card folds in and it will close. It does have an element of spring on it. You may decide that you want to maybe add a strap to the back coming around the front and then some sort of closure mechanism there. There's plenty of space obviously on the back to write your message, or inside wherever. I haven't personalised this card yet, but if we open the card up, you can see that this springs back quite nicely. So there we have today's project. If you haven't done already, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell for future videos. Until next time, thanks for watching.